Well, I have a couple of questions here from folks responding to some of the propaganda that I put out, and my staff and I put out, not really propaganda, hopefully useful information. But maybe one question and a couple of comments that we've received. First of all, a question from Jennifer. Jennifer writes to say, hoping for a country that tries to work together for the better of all instead of fueling hatred and focusing on differences. What kind of American do you want to be? First of all, I wanted to say, Jennifer, I'm Tom Carper, and I approve your message. I was trained as a leader. I grew up as a Boy Scout, Silver Patrol Cadet, Navy ROTC midshipman at age 17. I was trained to be a leader, and a leader who believes that our role is to be a servant. Our job is to serve, not be served. Leaders should be humble, not haughty. We should appeal to people's better instincts. Leaders are purveyors of hope. Leaders should keep out of step when everyone else is marching to the wrong tune. We kind of live by, or we lead by our example. It's not do as I say, but rather do as I do. Leaders should always be interested in what is the right thing to do, not the easy thing to do. Leaders should focus on the golden rule, treat other people the way we want to be treated. Leaders should focus on excellence, commitment to excellence in everything we do. And when leaders know they're right, they shouldn't give up. If we're sure you're right, we know we're right, we just shouldn't give it up. That doesn't mean we shouldn't listen to other ideas or take input from a broad range of folks and views. But that's the way, the kind of leader I was raised to be, trained to be for 23 years as a naval flight officer in my church, and all other kind of had great mentors and so forth. So I just described the kind of leader I ought to be, and I strive to be. I hope I am. Here's a comment from Duncan. And this is a comment on the President's final State of the Union address, which I was privileged to watch and to be right there. Duncan writes, and he said he loved it. He loved the President's speech. He said he would have liked to hear more about community focus groups like the Wilmington JCs, but you can't get everything. Actually, part of the fourth part of the President's speech actually focused on citizen involvement. I was privileged when I was a younger man to be a Wilmington JC. And was happy to get to know people and work in ways outside of elective office to try to make our community better. And so one of the things the President focused on, he says, I can't do this by myself. And he said to basically all of us in the House of Representatives that evening, he said, you can't either. And it just can't be focused on government, but we need everybody to help lift our country and to help us continue to be a great nation. And I'm reminded of something that actually happened to me. Went to the Detroit Auto Show back at the early part of January. I've been going for many years. Delaware once built more cars, trucks, and vans per capita than any other state. And I was always going to the auto show to try to make sure that Chrysler and GM didn't close. And when I was governor, they almost did. And so I still go to the Detroit Auto Show and trying to convince people in building cars, trucks, vans in our state. But when I was at the Detroit Auto Show earlier this month, I stopped at the restroom, and I was leaving the restroom, and there was a gentleman who was a janitor, had his cart with his mop and all this stuff, ready to go into the restroom and clean it up. And I said to him, I was just wondering, the Detroit Auto Show and opening, it's thousands of people, it's teeming with people, it's a huge complex. I said to him, to the janitor, I said, boy, the restrooms here are so clean, like who keeps these restrooms so clean? And he smiled and he said, well, I do. And I said, well, you're doing a great job. I just want to thank you for that. And he said, well, it's my job. I mean, this is what I do. And I try to do it really well. And he said, everybody's got a job. Everybody's got a job. And we all need to do our jobs well. And, I've thought about that. We all have a job to do. We have jobs that we get paid for, or we have jobs that we, like parents or whatever, grandparents, that we don't really get paid for except in psychic income maybe. But we all have an obligation to make Delaware and other places are better places in which to live and to work and to raise our families. So let's keep that in mind. We all have that job, and let's not lose sight of that. Thank you. Here's a comment from John. And John writes, Senator Carper, your closing comments at the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce dinner were inspiring. I think the President's speech gave me hope that in the midst of all the mess, we can indeed find that pony. Told a story at the Chamber of Commerce dinner back in early January about when I was a little boy, my sister and I, born in West Virginia, we go back to West Virginia and summertime and other times of the year. Just we'd stay to see our cousins and visit them. We'd visit our grandparents. And my mom's dad and mom lived on a piece of land, not really a farm, but kind of. They had chickens and stuff like that. And Their next door neighbor was a coal miner, Mr. Metters, and Mr. Metters would go to work in the coal mines in the morning and afternoon, and he'd come home at the end of the day, face black with coal. And they'd clean up, and then he'd go milk his cow. And he would invite my sister Mai to go help milk his cow. And the cow like had a little shed that the cow would like live in when the weather was bad or whatever, hang out. And we would help milk the cow, and there was like a big pile of manure that would be like stacked up next to the cow shed. And Mr. Metters I would let my sister say, well, what's under that big pile of manure? What's under there? And he would kid us and he'd say, oh, there's a pony under there. There's a pony under there. And sometimes when we're faced with adversity and you think, oh, this is like a big pile of manure, I think back to my childhood and I say, somewhere in there's a pony. There's got to be a pony in there. And Albert Einstein said it more, I guess, elegantly when he said, in adversity lies opportunity. And for us, what we faced with the merger of Dow and DuPont, potential loss of thousands of good jobs, excellent jobs. The question is, how do we find that pony? How do we find the opportunity in that adversity? And it's there, and it is there because we have several thousands of people who are there, like they have PhDs, doctors, they're researchers, they're scientists, they're engineers, and they have great ideas. They know about business, and a lot of them have ideas that they want to turn into a business. And as they look at this change in their career path, there's a chance for us to help them to start their own businesses and be successful. And there's any other number of examples in Delaware where that's happened. One example is W.L. Gore Company. A guy named Bill Gore used to work for DuPont, took that as ideas and went out and started what's a huge international company now, W.L. Gore. We have another good example, Insight, a pharmaceutical company that has sprung out of people who used to work for DuPont, led by Paul Friedman, and they went off and started Insight. Just about 20 people over in Stein Haskell and then the experimental station. And now in their corporate headquarters, they've got, and their R&D activities, got 600 people working in Delaware, in northern Delaware, just outside of the city of Wilmington. And I think they're going to keep on growing. So, and there's other examples besides those, but in adversity lies opportunity, and our responsibility here is to make sure that the people, well-trained, well-educated, great careers, great job experience, who might want to be entrepreneurs and start their own companies, that we provide for them a nurturing environment. Good space, including lab space is needed, access to capital, the ability to raise money, help in training a workforce, and just holding their hands and let them know we love them and that we want them to be successful and try to make sure that happens.